never thought my life would collapse in a single week, but that's exactly how it happened. One accusation, one suspension email, one envelope on the kitchen counter. I'm Marcus, 42, project manager at a mid-sized engineering firm, married for 11 years to Evelyn. Until that week, I believed my life was boring in the safest way possible. It started on a Monday morning. HR called me in before I even finished my coffee. Two people sat across from me, faces rehearsed, voices careful. They said a junior colleague had filed a complaint. The word predator wasn't used yet, but it hovered in the room like smoke. Inappropriate behavior, boundary violations, an internal investigation. I was placed on immediate suspension, escorted out of the building like a criminal. I didn't even know what to say. I had mentored dozens of people over the years. My reputation was clean. No warnings, no whispers, just shock. I drove home in silence, gripping the wheel so hard my hands hurt. By the time I reached our driveway, my phone had already stopped buzzing. Friends, coworkers, even my own team had gone quiet. That evening, Evelyn came home late. She didn't kiss me, didn't ask how my day was. She stood by the door, arms crossed, eyes flat. She said she'd received a call. Someone from my company. Someone concerned. Then she said the sentence that still echoes in my head. I can't be married to a predator. I tried to explain. I told her it was false, that there was an investigation, that nothing had been proven. She didn't want details. She said perception mattered more than truth. She slept in the guest room that night. If you're following this so far, like or share this story so it reaches people who understand how fast false accusations can destroy a life. 2 days later, a courier delivered divorce papers. Not a conversation, not a warning, just cold legal language. Evelyn had already moved half her things out while I was at a meeting with my lawyer. She cited irreparable harm and moral incompatibility. She requested exclusive use of the house, temporary spousal support, and full separation of assets. The investigation dragged on. Weeks of silence. No updates. No chance to defend myself publicly. My name was removed from internal systems. My access revoked. I became invisible overnight. Friends stopped calling. Neighbors avoided eye contact. Even my brother told me to lay low. One night, sitting alone in the living room, I started replaying everything. The timing felt wrong. The accusation came right after I blocked a transfer request from my department. A request pushed hard by someone high up. Someone Evelyn knew well. That's when a thought crept in that made my stomach turn. I went back through old messages, emails, calendar invites. Then I found it. An email thread Evelyn had forwarded herself months earlier, buried deep in her sent folder. It referenced a clean exit and career leverage. My name was mentioned casually like a chess piece. That's when I realized this wasn't panic. It was planning. If you've ever been blindsided by someone you trusted, comment clarity below. Sometimes naming the moment helps you see it for what it is. I hired a forensic attorney, not a divorce bulldog. Someone quiet, methodical. We subpoenaed internal communications, pulled phone records, cross-referenced timelines. The junior colleague who filed the complaint, she'd never worked directly under me. Her statement matched talking points from someone else's email almost word for word. The truth surfaced slowly, but it surfaced. The complaint was dismissed. Unfounded. My suspension lifted. Quietly. No apology. No announcement. Just a short email saying the matter was resolved. But by then, Evelyn had already moved forward. She doubled down. Claimed emotional trauma. Claimed fear. Claimed she had acted to protect herself. That was the moment I stopped trying to clear my name and started protecting my future. Before we go further, comment below. Do you believe forgiveness is possible after betrayal like this? Or does trust end the moment someone chooses to destroy you? I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I documented everything. The setup, the coordination, the lies. And I waited. Because when someone is confident they've already won, they stop being careful. At the very end of the story, I'll explain what I did next and why it changed everything. If you want that conclusion, answer the question above and subscribe, not for drama, but because stories like this matter when truth gets buried. I began quietly, methodically, retracing every interaction, every financial arrangement, every promise we had made. Evelyn thought she had covered her tracks. She thought deleting messages, moving funds, and aligning a witness would shield her from scrutiny. She didn't realize that years of trust and predictability could become a blueprint for uncovering her moves. I started with the finances. Shared accounts, automatic transfers, and joint assets, all reviewed, logged, and documented. Every dollar spent, every withdrawal matched against dates and her claimed intentions. Discrepancies appeared quickly. The trips she claimed to take for stress relief lined up suspiciously with the internal complaint timeline. Connections were obvious once the data was organized. Every lie, every omission, every attempt to manipulate I cataloged with precision. Then came the second phase, reputational protection. Colleagues and mutual friends had already been swayed by a false narrative. I scheduled discreet conversations, presenting only verifiable facts, letting silence and documents speak. Slowly, whispers began to shift. The junior colleague who filed the complaint started doubting the story. Others who had avoided me began to reach out cautiously. The truth spread, not loudly, not dramatically, but in a way that could not be ignored. At home, Evelyn's confidence began to crack. She expected me to crumble, to beg, or at least show signs of weakness. I didn't. I maintained calm, professional distance. I let her realize the extent of her miscalculation herself. There's a peculiar power in silence when paired with unwavering resolve. During this period, I also had to reconcile with myself. Betrayal cuts differently when it comes from someone you've trusted with your life. I felt anger, hurt, disbelief, but I also felt clarity. The choice wasn't revenge. It was strategy. Every action I took was deliberate, aimed at protecting myself and ensuring that her attempts at destruction wouldn't succeed. Around the 5th week, I filed for legal countermeasures. Not in haste, not with vengeance, but with careful precision. All documents were in place, supporting my claims with evidence. The forwarded emails, timestamps, witness statements, and financial records. I wasn't just defending myself. I was showing the consequences of attempting to destroy another person's life with falsehoods. At this point, I need to pause and say, comment below. How would you respond if someone you loved tried to ruin your life while expecting you to stay silent? I'm curious to know your thoughts because these situations test everything you believe about trust and boundaries. When the court proceedings began, the contrast between reality and perception became painfully clear. Evelyn attempted to frame herself as a victim, but every document, every record told the opposite story. She had counted on assumptions, on the natural inclination of people to believe the spouse who speaks first. But facts are stubborn. They don't care about narratives or sentiment. They care about proof. And in this case, the proof was undeniable. The final hearing was quiet. No shouting, no dramatic confrontations. Just calm presentation of evidence, statements read, motions filed, and legal authorities acknowledging the misrepresentation. The ruling, custody and property arrangements were adjusted to reflect reality. The false accusations were formally dismissed. Evelyn was required to return funds and compensate for damages caused by her actions. The justice was neither theatrical nor vindictive. It was corrective and measured. By the end, I realized something profound. Power doesn't always come from confrontation. Sometimes, it comes from patience, preparation, and the unwavering commitment to truth. I had been painted as powerless, accused falsely, and even abandoned, yet I reclaimed control not by anger, but by clarity and calculated action. In the aftermath, I reconnected with colleagues, friends, and family. Not because I needed validation, but because rebuilding relationships is part of reclaiming life. There's a stark difference between surviving betrayal and thriving after it. I chose the latter. Before I close this story, remember, comment with your thoughts, and subscribe, because sharing experiences like this matters. It reminds us that trust can be broken, but resilience, preparation, and truth will always restore balance. Evelyn attempted to destroy everything we built together, but she underestimated one thing: the quiet resolve of someone who refuses to be a victim. That week of betrayal, the accusation, the divorce papers, they were intended to break me. Instead, they revealed strength I didn't know I had, and in exposing the deceit, I regained not just my reputation and assets, but my peace of mind. It's tempting to seek revenge in moments like this, but revenge is hollow if it's reactive. True power comes from strategy, evidence, and calm action. She set the stage, and I simply followed the facts to their inevitable conclusion. Every falsehood, every manipulation, every expectation she had that I'd crumble was met with precision, patience, and clear boundaries. In the end, justice wasn't about humiliation or payback. It was about accountability and ensuring that someone who tried to ruin another person's life couldn't succeed unchecked. I had been tested, and I emerged stronger, wiser, and ready to move forward. And that's when I realized something crucial. Betrayal can hurt, but preparation and clarity transform that pain into strength.